So hey guys, this is my last day on the AT. Forgive the video quality, it's quite dark. And I slept in the Rich Mountain Fire Tower last night. Right there is my bedroll. Super duper windy. I had the most beautiful evening sky when I rolled in here. About 12:30 last night. The Orion constellation was just like so bright and beautiful. Little Dipper, like the Pleiades were popping. And I had some lights of a town. I'm not sure which town, but those were pretty beautiful as well. Check this out too. It's a graded floor, so you can see all the way down. Really windy. Unfortunately, the situation this morning is pretty socked in. It's trying to burn off. We'll see. I'm gonna sit here for a moment. See if it does in fact burn off. Unfortunately, when you're sleeping in a cloud, that means condensation. So I actually have bag's pretty wet, but that's okay. It's my last day. The reason that I'm here. Let me get out of the wind again. Yeah, alright, it's burning off. Hopefully we'll get some views. So the reason I'm here is that when I rolled up onto the Spring Mountain shelter last night, there was a very sizable bear just hanging out at the shelter. Right between the picnic table and the shelter itself, and I've had, in my life, I've had about 50 bear encounters where I've actually, like, interacted with the bear. Not just, like, run off in the woods, like, smelled me and ran, but actually, like, saw the bear and it saw me. And this is probably the third largest bear I've ever seen. It is the largest bear I've seen outside of the Smoky Mountains by far. And, so he sees me, and it's funny because he kind of like ducks his head under the picnic table, and looks at me from under the picnic table, and then he takes off. And they kind of like, it's hilarious watching them run away. So I get in the shelter, and it's like one of these old rickety like 1940s shelters, and it's really not doing much to shelter me from the wind. I actually have better wind protection in this thing without windows. Fire tower without windows has better wind protection than that shelter does. So I'm sitting there and I'm reading the shelter log, and I'm like writing my last entry in the shelter log, and I just get that feeling like, I need to go like check and see if this thing is still around, because I'm getting that feeling like I'm being watched. So I leave the shelter and I go to the right, because that's where it ran off, and I don't see anything there. Well, I scan my headlamp back over, and literally in front of the shelter, 35 yards away, is the bear, and he's just watching me. And I'm like, that's not giving me the warm and fuzzies exactly. So I shout at him, and I see him. He kind of like, he'll go 15 feet, look back at me, and I'm like, hey, and he'll do like another 15 feet, look back at me, and I'm like having to shout him up the ridge line. And so I'm sitting in the shelter, and I'm realizing a couple things. First thing I'm realizing is I'm not being sheltered from the wind. They do have a tarp, and I'm really apprehensive about putting that tarp over the front of the shelter, because now I can't see Mr. Bear out there should he decide to come back, and I'm pretty sure he's going to come back at this point. I'm really hungry, and I don't want to eat because of the fucking bear. And it's like I said, it's 10 o'clock at night. I really don't want to push. I'm just tired. And finally, I had to make the executive decision, especially after hearing how much the roof was shifting, how much noise that was making. It was really windy, like it is this morning. So I couldn't hear the bear if he approached if I wanted to. So I just realized, like, I'm not going to get any sleep at all in this shelter. It's just not going to happen. So I decided to keep walking, and then I saw on the guidebook this tower, and decided to come check it out. So I got here at 12:30, and I was just like, I'm done. I'm done. I'm so tired. It was 25 miles over many, many hours, and just done. The nice thing is I've only got 8 miles to walk today to finish the Appalachian Trail, get into Hot Springs, and see my family. Sock back in again. Man, never know. So yeah, I slept really, really soundly up here in the shelter, or in the fire tower, which is pretty sweet actually. It's like brand new and very solid. It's not moving at all. It's funny though, is because this floor is graded. My sleeping pad was like doing this for part of the night, getting these updrafts. So, anyways, I'm gonna pack up, throw a Pop-Tart in my mouth. I've got fresh new socks on. They're clean, and I've been saving this pair. And partially because I want clean socks on my feet, and partially because I don't want to knock my poor family members over with my very intense body odor, which most of which seems to come from my feet. And I'm gonna get rolling. I cannot believe this is my last day on trail. That's a little surreal. I'm very groggy and tired. I'm really glad that my last night on trail was that eventful. And I wish you could have seen the stars. They were so awesome. And then the city lights, like, it was just perfect. The only thing that could have made last night at this tower any better would have been some company. But that's alright. Alright guys, thank you for watching. I'm going to have some post-trail videos coming up when I get home. Definitely about the bivvy, the Enlightened Equipment Recon. Still need to do a Tarp Tent Pro Trail video. I know I've been saying that forever. And I'll go into why I decided not to carry that tent this year. But anyways, guys, take care. And hopefully you all have a fire tower near you that you can get up. If not, go look it up and see if you've got one, because the views are incredible.